Nate, do you know what a blind man, a marketing guru, and quotes have in common?
I do not, but it sounds like the beginning of a really awful joke.
Well, why don't we take it offline?
The fundamentals of business. Mental is a part of the word.
I never ask my clients to judge me on my winners. I ask them to judge me on my losers because I have so few.
There's money in the banana stand.
I'm a hard-working man.
You can't learn how to close. You better start thinking about another career.
Put that coffee down.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Take It Offline podcast. That's Mike, and I'm Nate.
And we're here every Monday, and we're talking work, life, leadership, and everything in between.
Hopefully, it's what a lot of us are talking about anyway. We just decided to put it online in our podcast, ironically titled Take It Offline.
Because we've got decades of leadership experience, and while we may not have all the answers for everything that we ask on the show, we definitely have a lot to say about it.
We do, and hopefully we can be an intelligent, thought-provoking, and entertaining part of your Monday commute or any day that you happen to be commuting, really.
I'm pretty sure we got the entertaining part down, Nate. So, Nate, why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, we're going to take a little bit of a different direction on today's episode. We were, in our planning meeting, one of the things that we encounter often in our line of work are the quintessential quotes. Leadership gurus offering their advice in quotable formats. And so we kind of wanted to kick them around a little bit today and see where we agree, see if we disagree. This episode might actually test our friendship just a little bit, Mike, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if we miss an episode, people will know it's because we're working through some things.
We didn't. One of us didn't emerge from this podcast booth that we're in.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, Nate, before I know we've got kind of a selection that we're going to hit. We won't hit them all, but I had a couple that are not in the selection I wanted to surprise you with and get your take on these. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, totally.
All right,
lay it on me.
So I'm going to test our friendship right away. So here's the deal, Nate. I'm going to give you these quotes. I don't want you to just tell me what you think of them.
Okay.
I want you to see if you know what I think of them.
So whether or not you agree with them or support them?
Is this a quote that Mike likes or dislikes?
Okay.
Yeah, and you can, I want to hear what you think about them as well. All right, so you ready for number one?
Yes.
All right, number one. A leader's job is to be a shock absorber, not a lightning rod. You should protect your team from the noise and chaos coming from above, even if it means keeping them in the dark.
Okay. So I'm going to work through this a little bit here. Shock absorber, not a lightning rod. I would say that portion of it would appeal to you because you do believe in servant leadership and in leaders eating last, taking one for the team, that kind of thing. However, you do not necessarily believe in keeping the team in the dark. You believe in confronting hard facts, clear communication, and brutal honesty. So I'm going to have to say that you disagree with this quote.
If I have to take the quote as a whole, I disagree with it.
All right, it's gone. So you know what we're going to do with that one, Mike? We're going to flush that quote.
Right down the drain.
Flush it. That's a long flushing sound.
That's an industrial flush right there.
The amount of time that I spent researching toilet flushing sounds on YouTube probably has me on a list somewhere.
Okay. Well, you can be a toilet salesman, and I know someone that can work for you. All right, so here's number two. You ready?
Yes. Okay, lay it on me.
A leader should never say, I don't know. Your team looks to you for certainty, and if you show doubt, you lose their confidence and their respect.
So I'm going to right away say that you disagree with this one, that you're going to flush it, because saying I don't know, but then going to find the answer is one of the strongest signs of leadership. It is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. So I'm going to say this is another flush it coming from Mike.
Flush it.
Yes.
Now, what do you think, Nate? Do you agree with that?
Oh, I completely agree. I will. Oh, sorry, it's still going. I will tell my team all the time, just say I don't know. Don't make something up and just bullshit the customer and try to just move the thing along. No, just be honest. Say, I don't know, but I'm going to find the answer.
Yeah.
It's that phrase. I don't know, but I'm going to find the answer.
Well, your people know what you know and don't know. That whole it fits in with the whole fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Which is horrible advice. We can get into that. That's not today's topic, but it's that same sentiment. And your team knows. And here's the other thing: your team ought to be a group of experts that do bring something different to the table.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why do you have the team?
Right.
You just do all of it, right?
Precisely.
So I 100% that's a flush. All right.
This is the third and final quote.
We aren't a team. We are a family. We stick together through the mistakes and the hard times, and we don't just cut people when performance dips.
I think you probably heard my my initial reaction to that.
I heard the ugh. Yeah, very much.
I do not agree with this personally.
So you would flush this one.
I would flush this one. In fact, I'll flush it right now. But for you, Mike, I don't know. You tend to be. You do lead from a place of respect and relationship, but you also have a strong boundary set between your work life and your home life and your family life, which is your true family life, not your work family. So I'm going to say this is another flush from you as well.
I'm gonna say this is a file it.
Oh, really?
But I am gonna do a small asterisk.
All right, hold on. Let's make the file it sound here.
Yeah, so we're gonna file that one away because I think it's worth. I'm gonna file it away. It's worth keeping. Here's the word I would change.
Okay.
Where it says we aren't a team.
Yeah.
I would change the word, we aren't a team. We are a family.
Okay.
I would change the family word to we're community.
Okay.
And I think that changes a little bit, right?
That does. That feels better.
Because communities you sometimes move in and out of, versus families you kind of stick with forever.
Yes.
But the rest of it, we stick through the mistakes, the hard times. And this is the part I like about this. This is why it's a file for me. We don't just cut people when performance dips, right? Now, I'm not saying there isn't a time when someone needs to move along. We've talked about that. But it's not at the first sign of something going wrong that we just give up on you, right? And that's very true in a family, and it's true in a community as well. So for me, if you just change the word family to community, it's 100% a file.
Because as I think we'll see as we get deeper into our conversation today, words really matter. And the word choice in that quote changes the meaning for me a whole lot. So yeah, I think that's a good distinction. So let's move into the body of the episode now, where Mike and I, we've collected maybe eight to a dozen different leadership quotes. And Mike, let's gamify this a little bit. I've got some more fun toys over here to play with.
Okay, Pat Sajak. Oh, well, now this is more like a Bob Barker.
Exactly. Hold on, we got the studio audience. Everybody, it is time to play File It or Flush It, the game where we drop hot takes on leadership quotes and the points don't matter, and the only thing stronger than the stench of craptastic leadership one-liners are the opinions of the hosts. Speaking of which, here are your hosts and contestants, Nate and Mike.
There's a great quote about opinions, and it goes along with the flushing.
That was why I put it in there, Mike. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Oh, did you? Okay, all right. I didn't know you were doing that. All right. Nate has surprised me with the game show piece today, guys. So, who doesn't love Price is Right? I mean, that was like childhood favorite. So.
Exactly. Well, that was actually
a little nostalgic.
That's the goal. We also have the Price is Right losing horn here too, in case we need that. But here we go. What we're going to do? We're going to spin the wheel, and we're going to decide what quote we're going to land on. We've got some Tony Robbins. We've got some Bill Gates. Some Confucius happening here. Oh, we've got Peter Drucker is our first quote of the day that we're going to discuss. And he says, management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things.
Okay, let me make sure I heard it. Management is doing things right.
Yes.
Leadership is doing the right things.
Correct. And so now we are going to play File It or Flush It. Mike, take us through. Is this a file it or a flush it for you?
Yeah, this is a file for me, Nate.
Ooh, we're gonna file it.
Yep. And I'll tell you, I think it's when I think about this, and I think I'll start with the second half of the quote. Leadership is doing the right things.
Mm-hmm.
That goes back to some earlier podcasts where we talk about leaders coming to the table and helping to set that direction for, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And making tough choices in the process. We kind of feel like our first 3 episodes really hit on this idea that purpose matters, values matter,
vision,
and leaders set that up for us, right? And so leaders doing the right things, I think that also then allows management to do things right.
I can see that.
Yeah, and to not take shortcuts and to and in some cases probably even challenge some things to make sure that, hey, we're getting something done, we're doing it the right way. And that might be, hey, we can't hit this deadline because the only way to hit this deadline is we're going to have to shortcut something. So we're going to just go be honest and truthful and say we're behind, and we're going to do it right because we know that our leader has set the idea that we're going to do the right things. So to me, I think there's some definite truth in this. I will throw this caveat.
Okay.
I don't think that management and leadership are completely separate. I think there are positions that are very leadership with a little bit of management, and vice versa. There are positions that are heavy on the management side, but still contain leadership.
I agree on that. However, there is still a clear distinction between leadership and management, and this quote does a good job of highlighting those differences.
Okay, so where are you on this? Are you filing this away, or is this one that you flush right out?
No, this is definitely a flush for me.
All right, so help me understand. Where do you not agree with this?
So I disagree, going back to the idea that words matter. I disagree with his choice of words in here, and I'm sure that he did it just to kind of keep it tight and pithy and a one-liner, and like instead of doing things right, it's doing the right things. However,
well, of course, that's like you got to fit it on the front of the book cover, Nate.
Yeah, yes, I agree with that. But here's the thing. You and I both know a lot of leaders who have done the right things the wrong way.
Well, did the leaders do the right thing the wrong way, or did they allow their management teams to do the right thing do it the wrong way?
So no, I'm talking about a leader that maybe there's an altruistic vision or an altruistic purpose for the company or for the mission that the team is trying to accomplish. However, the leader is caustic, is toxic, is angry, and a terrible person to work for. We have some quotes by people like that coming up a little bit later. So looking at the leader, you might say, "Oh gosh, this is terrible." But then someone would say, "Yeah, but look at all the good things that are coming out of this type of leadership. How bad could it really be?"
Okay, so where I would challenge you then is that person is from a management perspective, they're doing things right because they're somehow helping someone, right?
Yep.
Feeding the hungry, maybe, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not doing the right things because everything you just described is not doing the right things. It's caustic, it's toxic, it's hurtful to those that are closest to them. So I would challenge you that that's an example of where that's not leadership. That's an individual that has zero leadership and all management.
Right. So I agree with you, which is why I would, if I were to edit this, I would say management is doing things right. Leadership is doing right. So by doing right, the leadership is setting the mission. The leadership is understanding the skills of the team, the targets that we're trying to hit. They're setting the pace and the goal and equipping management to then lead those tasks, lead those individual things, while the leader sets the right course, a course that is right. And the leader does right by the people he leads. The leader does right by the people he serves. The leader does right by the people who have entrusted this leadership role to him. So I would say leadership is about doing right, or you could say choosing the right things to do. But I think it's bigger than that. Leadership has to be bigger than that. It's doing right.
Okay, all right. I guess you could leave the word things out there, but I mean, when you get down to it, and if you were to start to look at this at a tactical level, what you would see is that there are things that they did that were right.
I can concede that.
Like not cutting someone whose performance just went away, right? You
Yes.
did the right thing, right? And to use your words you just said, they did right by their people,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
By doing the right thing.
Yes.
And not firing someone at the first sign of poor performance or of a problem or an issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can get where you're going on that, where like the words get a little bit, maybe there's a little bit of wordplay. Here's the other thing I'll challenge with you on, though.
Okay.
You just described this idea of like, okay, this leader who did this and this. I would challenge you. That's not a leader.
Correct. Yes.
You might have the title.
Have the title.
You might have the chair. But having a title and having a chair do not make you a leader.
Ergo, this quote would not then apply to you.
Well, potentially. And you also don't have to have a chair or a title to be a leader.
I agree with that.
There
completely.
are plenty of people that are leaders without those things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And also, just full disclosure, I have nothing against Peter Drucker.
I think there's a lot of great work. That he puts
Absolutely.
out.
And we're sitting in this closet talking about one of his quotes, and I'm sure he's never heard of us, let alone had us on his podcast.
I doubt he ever will hear of us, but here's hoping.
What? Well, he is passed now for about 20 years.
Well, maybe he went to heaven, Nate. Maybe we'll see him in heaven.
Maybe he's listening from above.
That's right. Well, if we do meet him, then that's a whole different podcast.
All right, here we go. Let's spin here.
All right, we got number 2 coming up.
Let's see. We've got
Big money.
Oh, we've got a quote from Steve Jobs.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Okay, Mike, why don't you start off with the quote?
Okay, Steve Jobs. Everybody knows good old Steve. The only way to do great work is to love what you do.
All right, this is an immediate flush it for me.
Oh, Nate, this is I just left the Mexican restaurant, flush it twice.
Oh, we're going to flush it twice. All right, so we've got a double flusher.
All right, so why don't you kick us off on this? Tell us why you flushed this one away.
Look, I think it's very simple. The quote, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Not at all. You can be completely unhappy at work, unengaged, and still do your job and do your tasks to the best of your ability. You can still deliver in the way that you present yourself to your colleagues, to your coworkers, to your office, to your clients, to your customers. You can hate your job, but still be a bright light in it. And so I disagree with the entire premise.
Yeah, look, I'm right there. So, and I'll throw another angle at this rather than just. I agree with yours.
Pylon. Yes,
but yeah, and I don't know if I ever told you, I hate the word piggyback. I'm going to call you out if you ever use it, though.
I don't think I have. I didn't say that.
I haven't heard you say
Okay.
that, but I had an executive do that the other day. They're like, "Let me piggyback on what Mike said," and I'm like, "Oh, please don't." So, here's my point.
Okay.
Steve Jobs is notoriously known as a brutal guy to work for.
Yes, kind of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
What I was talking about a little bit ago.
Long hours, yelling at people, so I'm sitting there thinking, now. He had a team of talented individuals. They built fantastic products, great company, all of those type of things.
I use them every day.
Yeah, and I don't. So I'm an Android guy. That's a whole podcast right there. So I think you got to look at the person a little bit sometimes behind these quotes, right?
Do they live up to it?
Right. I mean, this is a great thing to say. He was loving what he was doing, and he was doing great work, but the people around him clearly did great work. They may not have been loving what they do. And I don't want to speak for someone who worked for Steve Jobs directly, but there's tons of books and movies and lots of other things out there that really hint towards you probably didn't love going to work if he was your boss.
He seemed to be a very tormented yet driven individual.
Yeah.
Which a lot of them.
And some geniuses are. That I think that can be a common thing for people who are highly motivated, highly intelligent. They also oftentimes, so popular nowadays is the whole EIQ thing, right? That emotional intelligence. So there's people out there who are brilliant, but just emotionally don't have great self-awareness or social awareness or those pieces of the puzzle. And so I throw this one out almost as much because of the individual that said it, as much as what you said, which I absolutely agree with, right? I mean, you can just have, one of your personal traits is that I do things great. Like I just feel like I must, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that I love it. I mean, I've been in jobs that were not my passion, but great work came from them.
So I'm going to flip this a little bit and ask you this. The quote is, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Do you think he meant doing work well, right? Like doing your work in a great manner? Or do you think he meant like accomplishing or achieving something great? So let's rephrase it. The only way to achieve something great is to love what you do. Because I could almost come on board with that quote, is that achieving something new and innovative and great has to be tied to some level of passion. And yes, I guess anger is its own form of passion, but to really like truly love something, I want to invent something that everyone else is just as passionate about as I am. That's a great achievement. And so I could almost, again, play with the words a little bit to make this a slightly more appealing quote to me.
Yeah, you could, but I feel like we could take that down, a lot of different angles, because kind of at the core of that is like you have to love something, be passionate about something in order to achieve something great. But there's a lot of people that have a lot of passion around something and they're not creating anything. They're not inventing anything. And I would think that there's probably some people who are inventing things who aren't necessarily, there's some guys out there that create a lot of stuff. Right. With a tremendous amount of variety. Well, their passion probably wasn't for the thing. It was just for invention in general. And so there's probably some truth that you, if you're going to try to do something really audacious, then you're going to fail a lot.
Yep.
Which means you're going to have to keep getting yourself up and motivating yourself, because no one else is going to motivate you. And we hear this all the time. Walt Disney turned down 1 million times before someone finally, helped him do Snow White. And J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter, right? Rejected again and again. Steve, they all have these stories of massive amounts of rejections
you hear
before
about
they got through it.
Bands all the time, guys who slept in their cars, like just waiting, or swept up. One of the guys who ended up tracking an organ solo with the Beatles was just like sweeping the floors at the recording studio, hoping to get called in. And so, that happens all the time.
Yeah, so I think there's a piece of that, and there, I mean, you could put so many words to it. Fortitude is an example of
perseverance.
Yeah, you got to have all of that. So yes, I think there's an element of I have to be passionate. In that space of passion, there is love for something.
Sure.
So sure. I mean, I think you could change that around and probably get there. But the quote on the surface is, "You can't do great work unless you love what you do." Absolutely not true.
All right, so we're going to flush that one. And while that's going down the drain, we're going to...
That one got 3 flushes.
It did. We're going to spin the wheel on this next one here.
Sorry to all the Steve Jobs lovers out there. I'm sure there's someone out there who we just crushed their hero.
Well, they can email us in from their Apple device and let us know.
Or Android.
All right, we've got a quote here from Tony Robbins, noted author, speaker. Very short quote here. Every problem is a gift. Mike, tell me what you think.
Flush it, Nate.
Oh, man. Poor Tony.
I can't. Well, do you know that Tony Robbins has people walk on coals as part of his seminars?
I did not.
Do you know if you want to follow him around, like on his plane, and learn from him as like a disciple, right? Like, do you know how much that costs?
How much is it? How much?
$84,000 a year.
84. How do you come up with the number 84?
I don't know, but I will someone pay me $84,000 and follow me around?
I'll let you follow me around for half that, Mike.
Shoot, give me $100, you can follow me around. So, no, I thought that was interesting. He's got a really interesting story, and obviously a huge following, right? I mean, extremely successful in everything he did. But here's my problem with this quote.
Okay.
Every problem is a gift. I don't agree with that. There are a ton of problems out there that I would not think anyone would consider them to be a gift. A chronic illness.
Sure.
Loss of a loved one. Going bankrupt. War, right? That's happening right now. I don't think anyone's going, oh, like there's this problem. There's a war going on in the Middle East. Oh, that's such a gift. I don't think anyone's saying that. Right, and if you are, you should talk to your therapist about that one. abuse, if you're going through abuse or had abuse, in whatever situation that was, as a child, a spouse, whatever, I don't think most people would say, oh yeah, I had this problem and of disease, abuse, war, bankruptcy, financial troubles. My CEO embezzled all the money and now I don't have a job. My pension that I saved up my entire life is gone because of bad choices made by people that I trusted.
Yeah.
Those are all problems. I don't see any gifts in those things.
Okay, that's fair. On the other hand, this one's going to be a file it for me, and I'll tell you why. Aside from your very extreme examples, think of all of the times that we've heard people and read about people overcoming some massive adversity. The cancer diagnosis that you mentioned, a chronic disease, all the books and the stories from people out of concentration camps from back in Nazi-occupied Germany. All of those people in the moment, that problem, that negative situation may not have been a gift. However, with their mindset and their outlook on life, they were able to, in time, turn it into a gift. So right now, war, no one's saying, oh yes, this is such a gift. However, in time, there may be good that comes out of it. We just don't see it right now because we're not in the moment. And the other thing too, if we take this from the perspective of Tony Robbins, and you talked about some very extreme examples, and rightfully so. If you're talking about your day-to-day life, what most people experience day-to-day in work, in relationships, in family and stuff, the problems that arise are opportunities to learn, to overcome, to test resilience, to teach resilience. You and I were talking the other night about how all too often the younger generation, they are so averse to feeling quote unquote negative emotions, to encountering trials, encountering anger, encountering sadness and depression, that they will go through great lengths, some questionably healthy lengths, to eliminate those feelings from their vocabulary, as opposed to saying, no, I'm in a sticky situation. Some of it's my fault. Maybe none of it's my fault, but I have an opportunity to do something better. That's the gift I've been given, is the opportunity to do something better. And I think your mindset plays a lot into how you view the world.
Okay, so you said at the beginning of this show, words matter.
Yes.
You just rewrote the entire quote.
I did.
And
I've been doing that the whole time.
and I could agree with the way you rewrote it, because what you said is problems can be gifts. I'd agree with that.
Okay.
You said problems, every problem offers an opportunity. So I can agree with that as well.
Okay.
Right? I can get on board with that. But that's not what this quote is. This quote is, every problem is a gift. And I think it minimizes people's situations. And I can see a lot of folks that you say that to. And this is where part of what we're talking about here is this idea of, okay, here's a quote. It's given out by a very popular, very talented guy who does a lot of good. I don't want to discount that at all. But he throws this quote out there. And if you were to grab onto this quote and you were to say this to your people, are you helping or are you harming these people?
I agree.
By making this comment to your staff, your employees, whatever it is. And that's where I have a problem with this, is that this, I think, could end up do more damage than it would good because of the way it's phrased.
I agree with you completely. We have a problem. This quote on our notes is only half of the quote. I just looked up the full quote.
Oh, what's the rest of the quote?
The full quote is, every problem is a gift. Without problems, we would not grow.
I don't agree with that.
Oh, so that's another flush for you.
So you're telling me that my only opportunity to grow is if I have a problem? Because that's what it just said.
Yeah,
Without problems, you can't grow.
You know what? I'm going to double down. I'm going to file this. Yes, I would say without problems, you cannot grow. Mike, if you're going to the gym to train your muscles, you actually make small microscopic tears in your muscles when you're lifting, when they're under load. And when you do multiple reps to failure, when your muscle heals back up, those microscopic tears strengthen, they grow and they strengthen, and that's what bulks up your muscles. So it's the actual tearing of the muscle that causes it to grow. And so, yes, I would say if we just sat in our homes and beamed Netflix into our TVs and ordered DoorDash and never left our house to be safe and problem free, you would not grow. It would get stinky. You would become out of shape and unhealthy, glued to your couch. No, you need to experience.
Well, it depends on how you talk about growth, because what you just described is you would grow, and the scale would prove it. You would absolutely grow. All right, but hold on. So I'll challenge you on this, because so Nate, you and I have been talking about this podcast for quite some time.
Yeah,
and I'd offer up that doing this podcast,
yes,
there hasn't been a problem, but I have grown. No.
I would disagree.
No, so look, we've had problems.
Yes, we have.
But
we have entire lost episodes.
Right. But I can tell you that preparing for them, talking to you about them, talking to my wife about what we're doing, talking to friends about different pieces.
Yes.
They're not problems, but I have grown in the process of just having those conversations. So I don't, again, it's too definitive. Do problems help you grow? Absolutely.
Okay.
I 100% support that. And I look, you can, I do think that and you mentioned this, there are some of the most successful people in the world went through some really challenging things. And so I do think that helps. I think you can look at folks that have immigrated to this country with nothing, and you look at their ability to do things that you're like, gosh, how did they do that? They came here in the middle of their life with absolutely nothing, and they achieved so much. And then folks that had so much didn't achieve nearly as much. And I think sometimes it's that adversity that you're talking about, those problems that you're talking about.
Right.
So do I believe that problems can lead to exponential growth? Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Do I think you need a problem to grow? No. You can grow because you choose to grow. You don't need to wait for the problem to teach you to grow.
True, but I think we also need to.
You got me so fired up. I've literally changed my seating position in the studio. Yeah.
No, I think we need to reevaluate what you're calling a problem, because challenging yourself, what we're taking on with this whole podcast thing, it is not easy. There have been challenges, and it has forced us to learn a new skill, not just talking into a microphone, but preparing and outlining notes, and even the recording side of it. I knew a little bit of this, but it's new software, it's new technology, it's not in our house, so we got to bring stuff, and that's all been friction. It's been, for many people, it'd be problematic, which is why not everybody has a podcast, because we have the tenacity and the temperament that's like, no, even though it's a little bit uncomfortable and it may be problematic. I mean, we could be at home right now. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, but we're choosing to be in this little stuffy thing.
That's the word.
Yeah.
A problem is, I don't think a problem is necessarily the thing you choose.
I think you chase problems. Absolutely.
No, you chase uncomfortability. You chase those moments to be uncomfortable, which creates growth. That's not a problem. A problem is a thing that happens to you. Think about at work. Give me an example at work where a problem that you've had. You didn't go find a problem at work. Most of your problems walked in the door, or into your office and presented themselves. And you're like, okay, this is a problem. Now, maybe you know how to deal with it, or maybe you don't. I don't know how to deal with it. Now I got to grow. But most of us, you might have said, hey, I want to go learn this thing. I want to go learn how to use a podcast recording system.
Yes.
That's not a problem. That is a
it's
choice.
An opportunity.
It is. Yeah. And that's the thing. Right. And we use that word opportunity has replaced the word problem because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
It's so ridiculous.
But again, I would challenge the definition that you're putting out as a problem. I think a problem is a thing that tends to happen to you or around you. And yes, it can help you grow. But I can choose to step into a new, uncomfortable, unknown space. That's not a problem, but there is growth there.
Okay, so we agree upon the growth part, and that growth requires some catalyst. It doesn't just happen.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I would, and so, right. So I would say a problem causes reactive growth
Okay.
versus there is proactive growth.
Okay.
That's where I think I would land with it.
Okay.
Can we get on? Are we close? Are you close to with me on that one?
Yes, I understand. And the words matter piece, so you're on the problem. I think so much of this comes down to mindset and the other quotes like happiness is a choice. Yes, happiness is a choice. You can be miserable. You can choose to be miserable. You can choose to be happy in the midst of problems, in the midst of challenges and frustrations. If we just allowed ourselves to feel whatever kind of way because of the way our day was going or the way our jobs were going or the way our bank account was looking, there'd be a lot more miserable people in the world. We live in one of
There'd
the
be a lot less therapists.
Well, yes. We were talking about this the other night, Mike. We live in one of, if not the most prosperous and affluent country in the history of the world. And we experience...
by every measure, it's 100% the most prosperous country in the world.
And we experience more suicides than any other country in the world. So how is that?
Well, oh gosh, and that is such. I'm so glad you brought that up because this blew me away. This came up as I was researching for today's topic and things that we're talking about, and it came up that the more affluent a country is, so this isn't just an American thing. The more affluent a country is, the higher the suicide rate, and the more affluent the individual, the higher the chance of suicide. How crazy is that? That the more you chase all of this stuff, right? In a lot of ways, the American dream, you're less happy. You don't want to live. Yeah. That is crazy
because you removed all the problems.
So you go to a place where folks are living in mud huts with one piece of clothing, and they never want to kill themselves, and that's just mind blowing to me. And I think we've touched on this a little bit. It's that idea of purpose. It's that idea of do you always have to constantly chase the next thing? And we've mentioned a little bit of that, and we won't go down that rabbit hole too much. But that is so fascinating to me, this idea that the more you achieve, the more, and so I guess in some ways, the less you value your life. Well, and that's sad.
That is sad, and that's the more that you work to remove problems, the less opportunity there is for growth.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, again, I think we won't rehash the problem piece. So, look, you mentioned and that was a quote that's out there, happiness is a choice.
Yeah. Lots of people say it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in a lot of ways it is. But we also need to face the fact that there are folks that have mental imbalances. Depression's real. Anxiety is real. And so, again, I think when you take statements like that, and this is a danger in leadership, if you say that kind of stuff or you throw it on your signature line in your email or it becomes some banner for you.
A bumper sticker.
Yeah. What you do is you may unintentionally be negating what someone's going through, because there are folks that probably really want to choose happiness and things continue to happen to them that are outside of their control. And I really oftentimes think about children who have parents that have abandoned them or parents that are making really bad choices in life. And these kids are getting stuck in the consequences of those things. And that kid's not trying to not be happy.
Right.
But at every turn, that kid is struggling to find happiness.
Yeah.
So I think there are situations like that. So again, if you throw something out like happiness is a choice, and if you're not happy, it's because you didn't choose it. I think that's a dangerous thing for leaders to say. It's, to your point, put it in some context. You have the ability to choose how you respond to things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's probably, if I was going to rephrase it, it would be, think about how you want to respond instead of react, which often means just pause, settle down for a minute, don't feed into the reaction, think about your response.
Yes. I think that's good. That's wise.
All right. So we got back to being friends on that one.
Yeah, we did. Before we move on, we're talking about replacing the word problem with opportunity. They talk about it at work all the time. So I like to think of it as, I don't have a drinking problem. I have a drinking opportunity.
Okay. Well, all of the local pubs are very glad to hear that. And they would be like, we can help you with that opportunity.
All right. Last one on the docket for today. is from none other than Bill Gates.
Oh, good old Billy boy.
Bill Gates. As we look ahead to the next century, leaders will be those who empower others.
Yeah.
And Mike, take it away. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, you talked about using talked about using Apple devices. We're all using Bill's devices, right? I mean, that dominates the world.
Yes.
So, I disagree with this because of one word.
And we're gonna. So this is a
Oh,
flush.
it's a flush.
Okay. Kind of gave it away a little bit earlier there.
Yeah, you did.
We could edit it out.
Yeah, leave it in. Thanks for taking ownership, Nate. I know that's a value of yours. All right.
I was problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, you created a problem. So Nate.
Yes.
Well, where are you on this? I told you that I think it's a flush. What do you think it is?
I'm on the fence on this one, to be honest. I'm gonna file it. But it's not it's not as enthusiastic a filing as my filing sound effect might make it sound. I've heard other versions of this, but what I really want to do is kick around that idea of empowerment.
Well, that's my word that kills this one for me.
Because then take us down. Here's I've heard it said a lot of things are being created. A lot of content. We are content creators. Mike, we toasted the other night that we are published content creators now. And a lot of people have said that the next generation of leaders are not necessarily going to be creating new content. They're going to be gathering content and thoughts from other people and bringing them together, similar to what we're doing right now, bringing all these quotes together and talking about them. We're not coming up with a new leadership quote. We're taking quotes by other successful leaders and then bringing them together and breaking them down.
Yeah.
Right. So I've heard that version of this.
But you could also say there are no new ideas under the sun, right? That's a quote that's out there.
That's a quote from Scripture, Ecclesiastes.
And I believe that in a lot of cases it's very accurate, right? I mean, there's not a lot of new ideas. They're repackaged ideas, they're repurposed ideas, but it's hard pressed to find that. So, and I don't think the issue is so much that you didn't come up with this new idea. I think it's more, can you bring an idea, have some good conversation on it, and figure out some application to it, and go down that road a little bit more, right? Especially to maybe a particular, audience or group of individuals. And we've kind of leaned in on folks that are in the workforce, leadership oriented, maybe, either are leading from the top maybe, but probably are leading from the middle, or trying to get there. So I think what we're trying to do is trying to package this stuff up for them to think about. I gave this, had a buddy listen to our podcast, and he goes, I was listening, and I think he told me he got to about a quarter of the way through, and he goes, I had to ask myself what I thought about it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we want to do, is provoke some thought here. So here's my thought. And this was not one that I had ever really thought much about. I'll tell you, used to hear the word empower, and it just didn't sit well with me.
Okay.
But I couldn't tell you why. I read a fantastic book, and
which book? Or am I putting you on the spot?
You're putting me on the spot. But
Okay.
if I can remember it, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
It was about a Navy ship, and it was a Navy captain that was talking through this, and he got me thinking differently about empowerment, and I went down a learning experience to see, well, what do I really think? This didn't sit well with me. What did this guy say? Do I agree or disagree? So here's what I would say to you is, let me put this in the form of a question first, Nate.
Okay.
If I empower you, aren't I just admitting that I was the one that was standing in your way to begin with?
If you empower me, then that would imply that you have removed the power. Is that what you're saying? So you're giving it back? You remove the power and then you're giving it back to me?
Potentially, or I was blocking you from using your power.
Okay.
So, part of what I would tell you is, or what I would put out there is, I think everyone has power to begin with, right?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
have the power to do things. So why do I have to empower you? Empowering implies that, almost kind of in a paternal sense, I had to give it to you. I had to allow you to do this thing. And here's the other side of it. If I empower you and I can take it back next week, was it ever really power? Makes you think a little, right?
It does. So it makes me kind of think. I think a lot of people have more power than they realize. An example, at work, there's a young woman who came to me and had a question. We're trying to help a client with the situation, and she said, well, how do I do this and this and this? And I said, well, look, you know how to use this tool, you know how to go and use this application, and you know how to wrap it up with this piece. So you already have all the information and all the power to go and do this. So you've already been equipped. Now go do it. But she almost needed that permission or that reminder that, oh no, yeah, you're right. I do know how to handle this. And so I can see where this quote could be valid, where a leader is one who empowered others. She already had it. She just needed someone to remind her that she had it and that it was hers.
Have you ever been in a situation where you knew what to do, but you weren't allowed to do it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the worst.
Okay. So why weren't you allowed to do it?
Because I was had a lot of responsibility but no authority to make decisions.
Okay. So you didn't have the power to do it. Or let's back it up. You did have the power to do it. Someone
removed it.
Someone blocked you
Yes.
or kept you from it, right? And I think that's where I have the issue with empower. So in the situation that you just described, I think here's how I would frame it. I think there is agency. I have the ability to do a thing.
Okay.
And then there's competency. I have the ability to do the thing well or correctly.
Okay.
And I think there's a piece of that where you think about someone new. Right? You hire this new person. If this new person shows up on the job on day one, do we think that they don't have any power at all? That they have no agency? That they're powerless on day one?
Well, I suppose it depends on the situation. So when I was selling cars, I told the story about that on last week's episode. One of the things that the company empowered every single employee to do was to make it right by the customer up to a certain dollar amount. So if a customer had a complaint, we could go above and beyond to make it right up to a certain dollar amount. So if whether that was gas cards to fill up the tank, whether it was service tickets to come in and get their oil done, whether it was refunding certain portions of a transaction, we didn't need to find a manager. We didn't need to find a supervisor. We could just go in and do it. And it didn't matter if you had been there for a month or if you had been there for 10 years. And so...
but up to a certain limit.
Up to a certain limit.
Right. So your power was limited.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But you had the agency, and you probably even had the competency to make a decision even above that artificial limit that was provided to you, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were probably smart enough to say, like, I can tell when to do this and when not to do this.
Yes.
And, the agency means I can actually do the thing, right? Okay.
Right.
So here's where there's a difference. And this is where it does make sense. But I'm going to position where I think the word empowerment is wrong, and there's a better way to position it. But give me your take on this part of it first.
Okay.
There's the power to, and there's the power over. So I have the power to do a thing,
right?
But I may not have the power over the organization or the group of individuals to leverage that power, right? I might have the power to fly a plane, but if I don't have the license,
right,
I can't take all those people that are on the back of the plane somewhere,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So I might have the power to do the thing, but I don't have power over these individuals that are inside this plane because I don't have that license for it.
So
for whatever reason, I haven't maybe demonstrated the competency necessary to exercise my power.
So then wouldn't you say then that the people who teach you how to fly that plane and how to earn those licenses and about all the instruments and the controls and the checklist and the safeguards and everything, aren't they then empowering you to fly that plane?
No.
Why not?
They're teaching you. They're not empowering you.
So
they're
that's
not
the
giving you
distinction.
power. They're giving you competency. And I think that's the difference, right?
I see.
It's the difference between power and competency, right? Or agency, and agency is probably another word for it that's very popular. But it's that ability to say, I can do this thing, maybe I need some education around it. I need to develop my skills around it to be able to do it well or at the level that is needed for it to be done. That's not empowerment. That's teaching, because I'm not giving you power. I'm giving you knowledge. I'm giving you experience.
Yeah.
And I think those are two different things. So we talk about this whole empowerment piece as the idea that I have something that you don't have, and I need to give it to you in small measure, and almost like, well, Nate, you should be grateful that I empowered you. And I think I think in a lot of ways it can be this manipulation that I've done this thing.
Yes, that's fair.
I'll even take it so far as to say some people think, well, I'm going to empower you to do what you want to, I'm going to empower you to make a decision and empower you to do the things you need to do, and I'm just going to pull back. Well, are you just removing yourself from accountability? Because when it all falls apart, well, I empowered them to do it, and they just didn't get it done. It's like, well, your job wasn't to empower them. Your job was to develop them.
Yeah.
Your job was to lead them, was to coach them, was to guide them. And so I think it makes this word empowerment allows some leaders to abdicate their authority and remove themselves from responsibility.
You know what, Mike? You've converted me. I'm going to unfile it. Let me take it out of the filing bin here, and we're going to drop it over into the flush bin.
All right. Well, look at that. Maybe we will end as friends when this is all said and done. So,
and this quote is rich, coming from a guy like Bill Gates, who's under a lot of fire once again because of all the his ties to the dealings with the Epstein files and all that.
That what a mess. So here's where I would leave that last piece, Nate, is that choose a different word. I'm going to help unblock or remove or unleash or untangle. Yes, or equip you to do a thing versus empower you. That's where I would suggest folks look at a different way to position it.
Well said.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, you know what? Let's close this out here. Everybody, thank you for being a part of our inaugural File It or Flush It game.
Yeah.
Mike, thanks for coming up with the idea. Actually, I mean, this was primarily your idea to kick around these.
I don't know. We throw things back and forth so often it goes wherever it goes. But so Nate, at the beginning of the today's thing, I asked you a question.
Yes, I was going to be mad if you had forgotten about that.
Oh, of course not. No. But you remember it, right?
Yes, of course.
Do you remember the three things?
It was a market guru. It was a leader, and I don't remember the third.
Close. So blind man, marketing guru.
Okay.
And it was a quote.
Okay.
Yeah. So these things, there is this legendary story out there about this guy, and you may have heard of him, David Ogilvy.
Oh, Ogilvy. I recognize the name, yeah.
All right. So legendary story. He was the father, people have called him the father of advertising, right? So here's the story. He's walking down this New York City street one day, and he passes a guy who's blind, sitting on the sidewalk, begging for money, and he notices cup's completely empty. No one's putting any money in.
Okay.
So he stops. He grabs the sign. He grabs the guy's marker. Without saying a word to the guy, he flips it over. He writes something else, and he puts the sign back.
Okay, and the blind guy can't see what it is, obviously. So
That's
no one
kind of
knows.
the definition of blind.
No one knows what the change is.
That's right.
So this is a cliffhanger.
Well, it won't be for long.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm
So the guy walks away.
Okay.
Or David walks away, goes wherever he's going. He then comes back later, and he stops, and he notices the guy's cup is now full. The blind man, sitting on the street, detects or picks up that the footsteps sound similar
that makes sense.
to what
this
to
man's
earlier,
returning.
right? And so he says to him, "Hey, did you change my sign?" And David Ogilvy says, "Yeah, I changed your sign." He goes, "Well, what did you write on my sign?" And he goes, "I wrote, 'It's a beautiful spring day, and I cannot see it.'" That going from "I'm blind, please help,"
Right.
to "It's a beautiful spring day, and I cannot see it," it changed. Now, did the facts change?
No.
He was blind.
Still blind.
On side one.
Yep.
Side two of his sign, he's still blind. What changed was the words evoked emotion.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, is that bad?
Not necessarily.
Some people would say, isn't that kind of manipulation? Isn't that what, okay, maybe. I don't think this is bad. He helped out someone in need
Right.
by helping folks to look perceive the situation differently than they were perceiving it, and therefore their empathy led to giving.
Sure, to tell a story rather than and present this man's situation through a different lens, from a different perspective.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly what he did. He took, instead of just telling facts, what he knew was telling facts is not enough. Oftentimes you need to tell a story.
Right.
And so he did. Many of the people we're talking about today, these quotes come from stories that they've told.
Yes, that's
told,
true.
written, whatever else, right? And so the reason why we bring this in for the audience is, as we've talked through these quotes today, I think what we've pointed out is words matter. We've talked about small, if you change the word here, I could get behind it. If it said this, I might feel differently. We talked about that. But the piece that I think I want to leave our audience with is the idea that the need here is for discernment. You need to be able to stop and think through, just because this really successful, rich, powerful, maybe altruistic, charismatic individual has said something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. The ability to stop and discern, right, and recognize, hey, they're helping to choose some words to evoke a reaction, to pull on emotional strings. If I grab that and just start regurgitating it out as a leader, without discernment, it may not have the effect that you think it's going to have.
Especially because so many of these quotes, and often the people that will regurgitate them, they come from from a place of luxury to be able to just sit around and think up profound things to say and email and write about. That when you have the time and the freedom and the mental capacity to do that, while the rest of us are grinding away to help make whatever company it is that you're quoting from, whatever platform you're quoting from, successful,
right?
That's going to feel really disjointed, problematic even.
Yeah. Was this your quote before you climbed the hill, or was this your quote when you got to the top of the hill?
There we go.
Yeah. So what we ask all of you to do, peel back the layers, think through the quotes, don't just regurgitate. And at the end of the day, recognize that you have the agency to lead your teams in any way you see fit.
Lead them well.
Please do.
Lead yourself well.
That's right.
Well, this is a great use of our time today, Mike. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, I enjoyed it. And we're still friends.
We are.
And that's the best part.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And tell your friends or your enemies.
Either or.
Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. We are on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. If you have any complaints, you can also shoot us an email. We will make sure that we don't flush every one of them.
Address all your complaints to Nate. And until next Monday, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.
Bye-bye, everybody.
What you people don't know about business, I could fill a book with.
Then do it.
What?
Write a book.
The Take It Offline podcast is a production of Take It Offline Media. All views and opinions are ours alone, reasonably informed, and meant for personal enrichment and entertainment. Views expressed do not represent any particular organization or employer. Copyright 2026 by Take It Offline Media.